Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Benvenuti al tempo della velocità. Welcome to Monza, the home of the Italian Grand Prix. One of the most iconic and beloved circuits in Formula One history. We're here back in Divine Eye Racing for Division 1 tonight. Monza, 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 Monza. A very famous track indeed, nestled in the Royal Park just outside of Milan. It's a legendary track, also known as the Temple of Speed, Cathedral of Speed, where motorsport heritage really collides in spectacular fashion. So the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, as its proper name is the fastest circuit on the F1 calendar. It's a 5.793 kilometer layout that's all about flat out straights, high speed corners, and hard braking zones. This track is pure racing at its finest. Cars are going to be pushed to their absolute limits, drivers are going to be pushed to their absolute limits, and the drivers need to master the art of precision and also bravery. So this track, as everyone knows, is a very much a fan favorite. Um, the race begins with, one of the most dramatic opening corners in Formula One. It's obviously a long, high-speed straight into the Variante del Rettifilo. It's a tight chicane at the end of the main straight. Over 350 kilometers an hour if the drivers are running their wings to the absolute minimum. Skinny, skinny wings. Driver's going to brake at about the 100-meter mark and slow the car down to an extremely short amount of time. But nonetheless, we have drivers out on track at the moment. It looks like there is a Haas. Is it going to be Cutthroat? It looks like it. Yep, Cutthroat. Usually the first driver out on track. And what are we looking at in terms of the championship standings? We've got Yuri at the moment, who is leading the way in P1 in the championship with 235 points, followed by the Steps with 217, closely followed by Kaka with 211. So Kaka, I see, is partaking tonight at the Steps. Also Yuri, I believe we had 18 drivers. Yes, we do, 18 drivers for this one tonight. Paddy's making a bit of a comeback. Paddy is in P4 in the championship, and Tongina in P5 as well. In terms of the constructor standings, we've got Ferrari, of course, with Divine Eye and Yuri, who's leading the Drivers' Championship, at the front, leading with 313 points. Williams with Kaka, I believe, in P2 with 277, and the Racing Bulls with the Steps in P3 with 268 points. We're going to be on board now with Cutthroat for the first lap of the session. Now, this is a track that requires a huge amount of top speed, but you also do have to balance it with the cornering speeds as well. Sorry, let's just mute my stream there, just making sure everything's okay. Let me know in the chat if everything is all good sound-wise, but of course we have Cutthroat. First driver to complete a hot lap in Sector 1 goes a little bit onto the grass there, but you do want to be maximizing the track as much as possible. Drivers will be running as close to zero, if not zero, wing on the rear wing anyways. Maybe want to have a little bit of turn in on the front end. And Cutthroat doesn't seem to be using a huge amount of DRS, just holding it, ERS, just sticking it in hot lap mode, but that was a very good first sector, or first part of the Ascari chicane there. Had a little bit of a wobble on the exit there. But as he's coming up to, I can't remember this corner's name. I can't remember this corner's name. What is that corner's name? Parabolica, that's it, Parabolica. And Cutthroat goes top, or fastest, with a 21.4. I believe it was Jan coming across this. Yes, goes P2 with a 20.7. Was that Sherminator? Swanee now goes top of the timesheets with a 20.1. Alevriadis, apologies, I forgot how to pronounce that, with 20.2. So we're seeing lots of times within a few tenths of each other so far. Gonna go on board with Tonginen now as he starts lap P5 in the championship. Tonginen will be wanting to improve that position as the season comes to a little bit of a close, a little bit deep on the entry there. For the first part, she gets onto the grass as well. That won't help with his traction. You can see he was struggling to get the power down quite a bit. But DRL Naismith now goes P2 with a 20.194. Little bit deep there for Tonga, so a bit of a scruffy lap. Not sure if he's had a chance to have any practice, but early days, of course, as this session gets on, you're most likely going to be able to do 3 laps, and Tongana has unfortunately invalidated his lap there. Go on board with Kaka now as he's bundling down into turn 1. Looks like he had a fairly decent chicane in the steps, goes P2 on a set of mediums, so very, very impressive for the steps. Looking forward to what he can do on a set of softs. Ooh, had to correct there on the entry, but Kaka seems to be running some decent levels of front wing to get that turn in. It's going to be running up to some traffic now. Ooh, that was very nicely done. That was very nicely done indeed, and he's going to be running into some traffic here. Slows down out the way. That is the Ferrari of Yuri, I believe. Very nice Ascari chicane there from Kaka, and this is shaping up to be a very, very good lap indeed. So there's plenty of battery to use as well. Can be wanting to use that up to the line, not wanting to leave anything on the table. He's not using any battery, so perhaps just easing into it. Wants to get a banker on the board, and he goes P1. 3/10 margin to DRL Alex, who is a new driver. New driver or reserving, obviously part of the DRL group there. Go on board with Yuri as he's starting his first lap. Cuts the inside of that first chicane very nicely indeed. A little bit of the ERS on the exit there. Wants to save it for the long straights. He's going to be coming up with some traffic now. Hopefully that doesn't distract him. It's his teammate, so hopefully his teammate is able to respond appropriately, because it's going to perhaps give him some slipstream. And he gets out of the way. No slipstream for Yuri on this occasion. Very, very nice lap indeed from Yuri so far. This is looking like a pole position lap. Ooh, unfortunately invalidates there. Just on the entry to the Ascari chicane. Ooh, as we just go on board with, we want to stay out the way of drivers around him. Who is on a lap at the moment? No one is on a lap at the moment. We're going to go on board with Divine Eye, owner of the leak. Let's see what kind of a time he can set down that long, famous straight into the heavy, nope,